Sinatra's New York, New York came on the radio, causing my father to leap out of his avocado green recliner. He brought one hand to his ear and raised the other like a steady composer. "Joni, listen!" It wasn't a request, it was a happy command. "This," he said, turning up the radio, "this is music." He directed the air filled with violins, trumpets, and drums. "Ba, ba, ba, da, da," he sang loudly. Each time Frank sang New York, New York, he pointed to me as my cue to sing. I sang proudly and I sang loudly, feeling happy to be included in his living room orchestra. When the instruments came crashing together for the great final chorus, it struck him physically, and he clapped his hands together. "Here it comes, princess!" and used his hands in the air, and he pumped his arms up and down for those 3 final beats and then belted out the final, "New York!" I saw a different side of my father that day, an enthusiast for great music. This passion was a strange accompaniment to the rest of his life, where he was often burdened with the demands of his profession. He was a retired colonel and a practicing forensic pathologist who traveled around the country performing autopsies. Consequently, I didn't see him as often as I wanted to, but the day that he introduced me to New York, New York, I connected to my father and realized he was someone who could actually have fun. I don't know why he was motivated to teach me the importance of Frank Sinatra, but the day he gave me Frank Sinatra, it was something that I could relate to, as most of my family's interests disinterested me. My mother was a housewife and had my 3 brothers and I to stay occupied. As a hobby, she owned a dance studio, and she taught tap, ballet, jazz, much to my aesthetic demise. I spent an unholy portion of my youth as my mother's personal dress-up doll. She had a thing for bows and pink. When I wasn't suckered into wearing tutus or obscene 80s makeup, I kept myself entertained with activities like reading and writing stories, activities my gregarious family members weren't as interested in. Although I seemed to look and play the part, I felt a bit like an outsider in my family early on, feeling the dynamics that grew, how different I was from these people. My parents did introduce me to music, something they loved as much as watching me uncomfortably squirm in outfits made of rainbow unicorn tears. For real, man. They had me when they were 41 and 66, so their tastes hovered around Glenn Miller Orchestra, Nat King Cole, and the Rat Pack. Well, those were my father's favorite bands anyway. My mother, meanwhile, was entertaining a very real love affair with Elvis. When my father wasn't looking, my mother quizzed me on Beatles trivia, telling me that knowing everything there was to know about the Beatles would, for some reason, benefit me one day. They taught me how to play music. Neither of them played instruments, but I started playing piano when I was 6, trumpet when I was 9, guitar when I was 12. These were my happy escapes. So I tinkered with pretty much any instrument I could get my hands on, to stay out of family pictures, gatherings, or obligations. Living in Seattle, Washington, under the oppression of low-hanging black clouds and 9 months of pissing rain, there was nothing else to do anyway. Although I love music, I remember once trying to decide what I wanted to do with my life. As some young people do, I looked to my parents. I knew I didn't want to live in someone's shadow like my mother, because I'd be damned if my purpose in life was to be merely married and have children. My dad visibly enjoyed his profession and where it brought him in life, so I decided to become a doctor. One particular afternoon, I was in the car with my father and asked, "Dad, I want to be a doctor. What do I have to do?" My father allowed a long pause as he collected his thoughts. In the background, the sound of Frank Sinatra's soothing voice played as the car bumped along. Breaking the silence, he said gently with a measured, steady voice, "Princess, why don't you be something more ladylike? Like a nurse." My childhood fear had been abruptly and clearly realized. I would never become great like him, because I was a woman. I was hurt, yes, but anger is the emotion I tied to what happened that day. A short time later, I was in the car with my older brother, Siegfried. I remember getting fed up with Cool in the Gang and changed the station to 90.3 KEXP. Then it happened. A song came on unlike anything I had heard before. Gentle plucking of guitar strings, no bass, no drums, just plucking on an electric guitar. Then entered for the first time that intoxicating sound that was about to change my life. It was a raspy voice, a tortured voice, deep and chanting. It was as though two hands had grasped my face on either side and drew me close. I was intrigued. I had never been intrigued like that before. I'm so happy, 'cause today I found my friends. They're in my head. I'm so ugly. That's okay, 'cause so are you. Yeah. Kurt Cobain's screeching guitar accompanied the new exuberance as Dave Grohl destroyed his drums, Chris Novoselic squeezing the life out of his bass. The band breathed like one, saying things only I thought, allowing a new vulnerability I never imagined could be possible. You mean it's okay not to fit in? When I turned up the volume, my brother laughed in confusion. What the hell is wrong with that guy? He asked a good question I was determined to get to the bottom of. Little did I know that the band on the radio happened to be from my hometown, and said town was the great hub of one of the greatest movements rock music will ever know. I started to go by myself into Seattle, about a 15-minute drive for the suburb I lived in. I went to places that are now staggered relics in rock folklore, like the Croc, where Nirvana, Pearl Jam, and Soundgarden got their start. My other favorite was Graceland, where every punk band from the Vandals to Bad Religion played. They grabbed me. These people not only allowed me to be free, they fucking demanded it. The lyrics paired with sharp aggression came together with a powerful, connecting way I never found at home. This was a place I could think for myself. I wasn't ashamed or demeaned for being a woman. Here I could finally, the weirdo kid of my family, from this business-driven family, drunk with Reaganomics, poisoned ideas, could finally be with my own. Greg Graffin showed me that Christianity perhaps possibly might not be the best idea ever. NoFX taught me in Don't Call Me White that it's okay to reject ill-gotten privilege because it stomps on the rights of others. That I had every good reason to hate my brother's racist and sexist jokes. But most of all, Kurt taught me about feminism by speaking out against the hypermasculine trope. He physically demonstrated that being feminine wasn't shameful by wearing dresses. I spent so many years ashamed of wearing dresses, pink, lace, and bows. I learned that being a woman was going to hold me back. But Kurt argued in his journals why women should rule the world and told society to go fuck itself. I remember particularly one disturbing day after school, after some girls had humiliated me for yet another time. I was lying flat on my back on my bedroom floor, listlessly holding a pencil, playing with the innocuous tool. Softly, something came on in the background. Come as you are, as you were, as I want you to be. I fucking lost it. Unwilling to walk, I crawled quickly to the radio. This, I thought to myself, this is music. Even though Kurt Cobain was the catalyst that drove me away from my family's ideals, it was my family who equipped me with an appreciation for music to begin with. The days I learned about Frank Sinatra and Elvis Presley prepared me with the vehicle away from the beliefs I couldn't follow, and I'm forever grateful for that. I was able to throw away the tutus, the bows, but more importantly, I could throw away the idea that I can't be exactly who I damn well want to be.
That was VAMP first-timer, Joni Erdmann.